Well, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Magic Happy Hour by Happy Hour Sports. I am your host, Shell Michael, and we have some more Magic basketball to talk about tonight. Since my last video, we had two games against the Boston Celtics. We won on Friday night, which was an NBA Cup game, and then we turned around and lost to that same squad just last night on Sunday night. Now, I originally wrote this saying, "Hey, tonight's going to be the second game at a back-to-back." I'm actually recording this right now at 1:30 in the morning. We just beat the Portland Trail Blazers on that crazy Desmond Bain buzzer beater three at the end. But like I said, I know I previewed this Boston and Boston two-game series in my last video, and I said specifically in that last video, the way you beat Boston, at least speaking historically from when we've done it in the past, over the last few years, the way to beat them is to limit their shot attempts from deep. And we're just not the type of shooting team that's going to beat anybody in the type of shootout, except for the Sacramento Kings, who we always seem to light up the scoreboard against for some reason. But heading into Friday night's game, Boston was averaging 94 shot attempts per game, and 47 of those are from deep. That is a statistic I mentioned in my last video, saying we would need to hold their three-point attempts to the 30s if we wanted to win. Well, guess what? We held them to 37 shot attempts from deep in the game that we won on Friday, and then 33 in last night's game. So we did what I thought we would need to do to win on the defensive end. But the most stark difference between the two games was that we were hitting our shots on Friday night and we couldn't hit anything last night. And as cliche as it is, the NBA is a make or miss league. When you're hitting shots, it hides a lot of other mistakes that your team is making. And when you're missing everything, every mistake that you're making is just exacerbated by that poor shooting. So you can dive into stats and figures and make various points to back up any agenda, but it all comes down to shooting. So let's spend some time breaking down the pair of games against Boston that we saw. First off, NBA Cup matchup on Friday was definitely a little stressful, but I honestly forgot how much I enjoyed these games. Not only because Orlando has done fairly well in them since the NBA Cup's inception, which we have, but because the added gravity to the game, right? Like, there's a big focus on scoring because of the point differential thing. There's the cool court designs, which can we just take a moment and be grateful that Orlando keeps getting gray and silver courts, and that we aren't having our guys out there playing on courts that look like they're playing on the surface of the sun, or like Minnesota's the other night, which was reflecting neon green on everybody's faces, looked like the game was being played in Chernobyl. Look, I've heard Magic fans complain that Orlando is unimaginative with our court designs, or unoriginal or boring, but some of these courts that we've seen over the last few years, think about the New Orleans Pelicans one that was bright purple with that giant neon green stripe across it. I'm just grateful that Orlando keeps it kind of classy and understated. Also, Friday night's game was the first time this season that Orlando wore their new black and blue statement edition jerseys. In full transparency, when those things were revealed this summer, I really didn't like them. There's just too much going on in the jersey. I was literally just telling you that I liked Orlando going understated on the court design. So yeah, I didn't like the weird look of the new black jerseys, but I also didn't know at first that it was a throwback to the old starter jackets. I never owned one, wasn't even living in Orlando, wasn't even an NBA fan when those were a thing. Even though that didn't make me automatically fall in love with the jerseys, I could at least understand the hype and why everybody else was raving about them once I realized what those jerseys were a throwback to. So it was, but honestly, it wasn't until I saw those jerseys on our players on the court on Friday night that I really bought in, loved the look. I honestly think that it is what the jerseys say it is, that it is a statement. Our team is making a statement wearing those jerseys, and they're really sharp. But all of our guys look great in them, and it was almost like it came down to like the Deion Sanders quote saying, "If you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good." Because our guys came out with their hair on fire. Also, there was another reason this game on Friday night was significant for us. Last year, Jalen Suggs, Paolo Banchero, and Franz Wagner only played 6 games together all year. And with Suggs starting Friday night, it already became the 7th game that trio has played together this year. So we've already eclipsed last year's mark. I think that's significant. But Boston, they jumped out to an early lead, and then Orlando went on a 16-2 run to jump out in front of Boston by 21-12 score. And there was a sequence not too much longer after that where Desmond Bain drives, kicks out to Gogo Patadze. He's blocked under the rim. Anthony Simons almost gets full possession, but then Desmond Bain and Anthony Black like gang defend him. Desmond Bain hits the deck, scrambling for the ball, gets it, kicks it out to AB. AB hits the three, scores 27-14, and I'm thinking, yes, this is Magic basketball. Shortly after that, there was a play that if you didn't watch the game, you still probably saw this in the highlights, but Paulo Banchero ties up Jaylen Brown. They call a jump ball. And on the jump ball, Paolo just sits there flat-footed, just waiting. And Jaylen Brown jumps up, mistimes his jump. Paolo then jumps up, easily taps it, uncontested over to Desmond Bain. Desmond Bain hits a streaking Anthony Black up the court. AB dunks. He's fouled by Anthony Simons, takes a nasty fall. One of those, like, hold your breath and hope he's okay kind of plays. But he's, 20 years old, 21 years old. He jumps right up, resilient. They reviewed it for a flagrant. It was deemed a common foul, but there was another point. Tyus Jones. This dude checked in to start the second quarter, and honestly, it just proved to be a bad idea. Tyus, I know this is the drum that I'm going to keep beating all season. He finished the night with a -11, so -11 on off, like that plus minus statistic. And honestly, I hate that statistic because I've seen it abused so many times. But you just can't watch Tyus Jones' minutes this season and come to any other conclusion that he's been actively hurting us. He is such a defensive liability, and he's not giving you nearly enough to warrant being that kind of liability. Like, for years, that was always the knock on guys like Luka Doncic, right? Incredible offensively, but it made up for it for how little he cared on the defensive end of the floor. But with Tyus, when you're running offenses and dishing dimes and protecting the ball, no doubt you are a valid and effective piece for any team. But when you're invisible on both sides of the floor, we're essentially playing 5-on-4. It's just untenable. I don't see how we're going to keep giving him minutes. And the only reason I can think that we've been giving him any minutes at all is truly just because we're paying him. And somebody up in the front office is going to say, hey, we've got to justify the money that we're spending on him. So, well, look, I hate to harp on it. I really do want to be positive about this team, but I just don't know how any objective observer is supposed to view this. And Jonathan Isaac, it's the same problem in my eyes. It just hasn't been getting the same kind of minutes that Tyus is getting, but the minutes that Jonathan Isaac is getting have been empty. He seems like he's a shell of himself, the shell of the defender that he used to be. He used to own the paint, and he used to affect every single shot within 10 feet of him. And I don't know if it's a lack of confidence or something else, but he's simply unable to recapture the mojo that he used to have out there. Last year, it was I'm ramping back up to full conditioning. He had the minutes restriction, which, he was slowly coming off of. And then when the minutes restriction was gone, it was the excuse that his playing weight was too high because he bulked up. But now this year, he slimmed back down over the summer. And so the excuse is the same somehow, that he needs to readjust his new playing weight. I've spent years defending Jonathan Isaac, saying stuff like, when we get J.I. back, nobody's ever scoring on us again. We're going to win games 100-50. And I'm sad to say, I'm sobering up now. I don't know what I was on, but I just don't believe Jonathan Isaac will ever be for us again what he was before he tore his ACL in the bubble. And it makes me sad. It really does, because he's always been one of my favorite players. But I think the best thing that we can hope for at this point is that he somehow does what Cole Anthony did last year, which is to go on a run where he looks like his old self again, like a 10 to 15 game stretch, really improve his trade stock so that we can offload him somewhere else. And sneak peek. Again, I told you I just finished watching the Portland game. He looked good in the Portland game tonight. So maybe this is the first game of this 10-15 game stretch that I want to see that really may improve our ability to trade him off somewhere else at the trade deadline this year. I will say that he has a team-friendly contract structure, but I will be sad to see him go. I think it's time. But I'm not entirely blaming our bench woes on Tyus Jones. It is a huge part of the story, though. Our 13-point lead heading into that second quarter on that Friday night game versus Boston, it was trimmed to 8 points by the half, and then it was trimmed more to only a 4-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. And Orlando had a strong fourth quarter, which is truly what saved that particular game for us. And what I mean by that mostly is that it seemed everybody on our team remembered the point differential tiebreaker aspect of those NBA Cup games because Boston kept threatening, but Orlando was holding strong. Every time Boston scored, it seemed like Orlando answered. It was super encouraging to see. At the start of that fourth quarter of Friday night's game, Orlando was 13 out of 29 from deep, and Boston was only 8 out of 28 heading into that fourth quarter. Again, those are great numbers when you only have one quarter left to play. Orlando had 23 assists at that same point. Again, this is all heading into the fourth quarter on Friday night. We had 23 assists. Boston had 18. We had 13 turnovers. Boston had 9. But the fourth quarter started, and almost immediately Tristan da Silva channels his inner Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, hits this beautiful sky hook. One of my favorite things to see is when our guys show off new moves in their offensive bag. Tristan has obviously been working on his three-point shot over the summer, but that sky hook was a beauty, and I just love to see that players are busting out things that they've been working on over the summer, and that one was new to me. Never seen Tristan hit a shot like that before. So Boston did take the lead midway through that fourth quarter, though. You look up and you see that Orlando has missed 7 free throws in the game. This has been one of our biggest weaknesses this year. Friday was no different, even though we won. Anthony Black, though, was a huge difference maker. He turned up his defense. He had 4 steals in that Friday night game. But the fourth quarter, from about 5 minutes left until the end of the game, it was almost all Orlando. The crowd was electric. Our defense was leading to offense. These are the kind of things that you just want to see from the Magic. The game's winding down. It's obvious we're going to win. But Coach Mosley leaves our starters in, and that's when I remembered about the point differential thing. Magic went on a late 14-2 run. Derek White put an end to it. Franz immediately answers. Jalen Suggs fouls Peyton Pritchard. He hits both free throws, but then Paolo hits a 3 with 39 seconds left, puts us up 121-109. And then Peyton Pritchard draws a foul on a three-point attempt. He can only hit one of the 3 free throws. Now it's 121-110. Jalen Suggs misses on a deep 3. We get the offensive board. Jalen Suggs ends up scoring on a nice reverse layup. 123-110 Orlando. Less than 3 seconds left. Boston outlet pass up to Peyton Pritchard. Franz hits him with his nasty chase down block from behind. He's looking like prime LeBron out there. Okay, good thing I'm not known for hyperbole, right? But I just love the mentality. I was watching this. I'm like, give them nothing. So game over, 13-point win. It's definitely going to be beneficial for us, especially when we look at the way these NBA Cup games have gone in the group play. In the past, that point differential has come into play every single year, and I think the 13-point lead, a 13-point positive differential is going to be helpful for us. Our next Cup game is against the lowly Brooklyn Nets. We should be able to win comfortably against them, add to that point differential this coming Friday. I really don't want to spend too much time on the loss to Boston from last night. It was a lot of the same old story for us as in the other 6 losses this year. 17 turnovers to Boston's 14. But the story of the game was the points scored off those turnovers, which Boston led 29-15, and then also bench scoring. Boston's bench last night embarrassed us. Their bench scoring was 50-18. 50-18. Boston got 27 points from Jaylen Brown and 21 from Derek White. Their other 3 starters couldn't even crack double digits. That's Justin Minot, Neemias Queta, and Peyton Pritchard. Again, didn't even crack double digits. Okay, that sounds good. We held them to only 33 three-point attempts when they averaged 47 three-point attempts per game. That sounds good too. So what happened? Anthony Simons, the Central Florida product out of Altamont Springs, happened to us. He starts off the second quarter for Boston. I wanted you to hear this sequence. He's absolutely cooking Orlando. He hits a pull-up J. This is all at the start of the second quarter. Hits a pull-up J. Then he hits a 3. Then he's fouled on a 3-point attempt and hits all 3 of those free throws. Then he hits another 3. And then on the other end of the floor, Anthony Black misses a 3. Anthony Simons rebounds it, comes down the floor. Simons hits his third 3 of the second quarter. Hasn't even been 3 minutes yet. And if you're keeping track at home, that was 14 straight points by Anthony Simons. He came into the second quarter with 9 points, and he finished that quarter with 25. So we're sitting at halftime, and he's got 25 points. Now, with that said, he did not score at all in the second half. So I guess credit the coaching staff for whatever adjustments they made at half, because it must have worked. But Man, this is something that I saw that Boston was doing really well that Orlando wasn't. And that is Boston was calling timeouts every single time Orlando seemed to get any small little bit of momentum. Was Orlando doing the same thing? We weren't. We let Anthony Simons just absolutely go like ballistic against us, hitting every shot. It sounded like NBA Street. Like, oh, he's on fire! Like that was Anthony Simons. He could not miss. So in the game last night, Orlando committed 17 turnovers. Boston scores 29 points off those turnovers. Huge difference. That's awful. Now I will say, with this game last night, it was not all doom, gloom, and despair. I saw about 5 or 6 different instances in this game where I could see the vision for what Orlando could be with the new identity of pace and transition buckets. And I made notes a few times that, oh, hey, this transition thing, this pace thing is finally working for us instead of against us. Tristan had another strong game. Paolo dropped in 28 points. As a team, our free throw shooting was phenomenal. We hit 30 out of 32 free throws. It's just not enough when you surrender 50 points to the opposing bench. So, two things going for Orlando. One, we rank second in the league in second chance points. I think Wendell Carter Jr. is a big piece of that statistic for us. And the second thing we have going for us is that we are leading the league in free throws taken per game at 32.6 shots per game. By comparison, Boston averages just over 18 points. Just over 18 free throws taken per game. Now, something I noticed over both Boston games, so I want to look a little bit more holistically. Jalen Suggs does some really stupid stuff out there, some careless passes. Like he's trying to make highlight plays with like dumb entry passes, behind the back passes, like no look swing passes. Like he's adding extra degrees of difficulty when situations don't call for it, and it keeps resulting in turnovers. This has to stop. That better be in every film review session that he has. Coach Mosley and the rest of the staff, I hope they're showing our guys every bad possession and the common themes that tie them together, because these have been some preventable mistakes. And when we are in this mentality we've talked about this year about trying to get as many extra possessions as possible, you can't be throwing them away on stupid behind the back passes when the situation doesn't call for it. Another thing to look out for. I noticed maybe 5 different instances of an Orlando Magic player dribbling up the floor and a Boston player sneaking up behind them and picking their pocket, knocking it out of bounds, or some other way just affecting the play. Last year, that didn't happen to us much because whoever was bringing it up the court was usually the last guy up the court. We were playing with the slowest pace in the league, and we took our sweet time getting up the court and into our offensive sets. This year, pushing the pace, we're always going to have opposing players chasing us up the court, and they're going to be in our blind spots. Our team needs to have better communication. Our guys need to be calling out stuff. Everybody needs to be aware at all times. Actually, remember a positive play last night. Jalen Suggs, he was on a breakaway, looks over his right shoulder, looks over his left shoulder. I just did that backwards. Looks over his left shoulder, looks over his right shoulder, and he's on a breakaway, but he specifically was looking to see if anybody's close enough to him to steal from him, and there wasn't. So he goes up and gets the dunk. I'm just saying, if we're not doing that, we really need to rely on teammates calling that stuff out for us. It needs to be on your left. Like there has to be some kind of communication. Either they don't have it or it's too loud. I don't know what it is, but they got to figure this one out, because this is going to be a bugaboo for us all season long, and I just think it's preventable. Again, it's just something new that our guys are going to have to get used to. I still think they can do it. Like I said, as I record this, it is 1:30 a.m. The Portland game just finished, so I am actually in a very, very good mood. That was a much-needed win for us. I'm not going to dive into that game too much yet. I think it warrants having its own video, and plus there's just too much to pack into this right now. But look, I mentioned after we beat the Wizards last week, we were 7 games into the season, and I said, look, if we can beat Atlanta and then split the Boston games, we'll be 5-5 on the season. I think that would quiet down a lot of the hysterics and the drama that I'm hearing from Magic fans, a lot of the crazy talk. And we did split the Boston series, but we did lose to that Atlanta matchup. Sitting at 4-6 after 10 games obviously didn't feel good. We've talked about this. The Portland game tonight pulls us to 5-6. We do have the Knicks next in New York. That should be a tough game, although I read that it was our first rest advantage game of the year where Orlando is had a night off, but New York will have played the Memphis Grizzlies the night prior, so we're going to catch them on a second night of a back-to-back, and we should have that rest advantage. Well, like I said, we'll take some time to run through those, but after the New York Knicks game, we have a relief game. I'm almost scared to even call anything a relief game, but we do play Brooklyn at home Friday, another NBA Cup game. You can realistically expect Orlando to be 6-7 after those two. Maybe we lose to lose to New York, beat Brooklyn. But like I said, we're gonna take some time to run through all that in the next episode. I'll probably get that one up tomorrow night. But like I said, it's late. I gotta get to bed. Again, let me preach patience to Magic fans everywhere. This team is still getting to know each other and what their roles are, how to play off each other. But it's not like it's an NFL season or a college football season that when you start hitting your stride, you only got 3 games left. This is an 82-game season. That is plenty of time to get it right. I'm not selling my Magic stock yet. I don't recommend that you sell yours. So let's keep playing that song. Let's keep bleeding blue. Let's keep hope alive that our guys will right the ship. Let's keep hope alive that Tyus Jones is going to get less and less minutes as the season goes on. But y'all have a great night. Let's go Magic.